we will do that. All right, welcome to the November 12th, 2025 Recreation Advisory Board meeting. This is typically live streamed, but it will actually be shown later due to some conflicting meetings today. But we'll start with a roll call of those present. Anne, you want to start?
Oh, okay, yeah. District 3.
Christina DePush.
Kevin Kirkhead, Advisory Board.
Leslie Young.
Cook on the advisory board.
I'm Liz Hookwater. I'm the Recreation Division Manager for Buncombe County Parks and Recreation. And Joseph?
Yep, Joseph Gooseman, Buncombe County Project Manager for Parks and Rec.
And I'm here with Joseph downtown, and my name is Bobby Scott. I'm with the West North County Disc Golf Association. I needed to drop something off anyways, and so I figured I'd come by at this time.
Thanks, Bobby. So on your agenda, it may show introductions of new board members. Unfortunately, there was some confusion, and they were not added to the last Board of Commissioners meeting, but we do hope to have those two new board members added for January. So then we would hopefully have that full board of 9 members. So that's very exciting that we are close to being a full board for the first time in a bit. Then we will open it to public comment. If there's any public comment, this isn't live, so we can't get anything live, and there's nobody else on the meeting. Bobby, do you have anything you'd like to say?
No, I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Thanks, Bobby. Okay, so this meeting was the first time we tried the report out versus us kind of speaking to you at the meeting and taking up that meeting with those with us giving you a lot of information versus discussion and that type of thing. So did anybody have questions on the report out?
I don't recall seeing much about greenways on there.
And Anne, I know you said you had you did also kind of email that Greenway, the passive recreation question. Is that correct?
Yeah, since we pretty much ended our participation as of the last meeting, I thought it would be a good idea to get an update on where the passive recreation subcommittee ended and what they wanted to fund. And I thought, I don't know about Kevin or somebody that's staff could make that report, but I think it would be important for this group to hear that report.
Okay. So first we'll, in regards to the greenways and for your kind of first question, I'll let Joseph say if he has any additional update. I know right now we've been working a lot on the park projects at the moment, and I know we spent some time in September speaking on kind of where greenways were at, and they that some of them have been delayed, and it's based around the funding of when that DOT funding is available. Joseph, correct me if I'm wrong. And then I believe there's some things coming out about passive recreation, but I'll turn it over to Joseph.
Yeah, so there is going to be a presentation to the Board of Commissioners this Tuesday on passive rec funds. At this time, we don't know how they're going to present the information, but we have been told to let people know to please come or tune in to that presentation to the board. Basically, it is their staff recommendation of how to move forward on some of the projects. I'm not personally one of those staff that's making recommendations, so I cannot speak to what those recommendations are. But I was told this morning, kind of since Allison is out, to let people know that that presentation is still being worked on and changed actively today. and that it will be finalized to be presented on Tuesday to the commissioners. For the greenways, it's like Liz said, it's kind of still in a planning pattern. I do have a meeting on Thursday tomorrow afternoon to look at some of the new alignment possibilities for the Woodfin Blueway or Greenway. And then also they are writing a letter to the development there for Beaver Dam Creek to have a letter of support from that development to continue on with that greenway. A lot of this has been passed over to our planning department since we are really focused on these Owen Park, Deer Review Mountain, all that kind of stuff. And they've been working a lot with the Greenway. But now that Allison is out for a little bit, I'm having a catch-up meeting tomorrow with their department to get more involved and also informed on what's going on. But that's kind of the knowledge I have right now at this time on that kind of stuff.
Okay, well, I just think it's very dynamic and changing all the time, so it'd be nice to get those reports out when we meet every other month.
I have a
Yeah.
question. What are passive funds?
It's the Passive Rec Fund Committee. It was bond funds that were designated back in I can't speak to the exact date, but they were designated funds to be used by the commissioners. We created a committee as a county to make suggestions on how those funds should be used within projects.
Mhm.
And that is what's being presented on to the commissioners on Tuesday, is some of those suggestions.
Can I add to that, Joseph?
Yep.
We had an election, or not election, but a bond referendum 2 years ago. And
Okay.
and that was for both housing and for open space monies. And there was $30 million voted on for open space, for an open space bond. And then that was broken down into farmland easements, greenways, and passive recreation. And the passive recreation subcommittee consisted of appointees from both this Parks and Recreation Advisory Board and from the Farmland Trust and Conservation District. And we spent almost an hour, maybe a year before Hurricane Helene, looking at the applications for that money. And then after Helene, we had to put it all, we came up with recommendations, and Kevin can speak to this probably better than I can, but we came up with recommendations, and then the hurricane hit and everything was put on hold until about a month ago, where we went back and looked at it again and voted on some of those projects one more time. And then they decided that the work of the Passive Recreation Subcommittee was done at that point. And so I thought it would be important for everybody on this committee, the advisory board, know exactly what was what came out of the appointments to the Passive Recreation Subcommittee.
Oh, I would love to know about that. That would be a great presentation when appropriate. Thank you very much, both of you.
Thanks, Ann. Yeah, I think we will know more next week, as Joseph said. And you can watch the Board of Commissioners meetings live, and you can also watch them they are recorded, so you can go back and watch them, which is kind of nice. You can fast forward and go back and forth from what you want to watch and what's maybe irrelevant to you. But that will be there, and we can look at also at the January meeting having some more follow-up on that.
Who is making the recommendations to the county commissioners? Do you know?
That'll be me.
Oh, you're doing that, Kevin. Okay.
And I believe you've been talking to Rachel on things, haven't you, Kevin, on all of that? It sounds like.
Yeah, we have a pitch deck that we're talking over. I don't know if we want to like go over everything here because it hasn't been like finalized or announced to because the county commissioners have the final say. I guess I'm kind of juggling emails trying to pull up everything that I have here.
And I
But we
think
can
it
go
would,
over.
we could
Okay.
also wait because like you said, it's the commissioner's decision and they're doing it on Tuesday. So
Yeah. So what we're going to recommend to them is of the open space bonds, it was 30 million total. 17.5 has been allocated across 18 projects. So that gave us, let's see, just shy of 10 million for projects. We had a couple projects back out because they found funding elsewhere or their scope had changed. Let's see if I can get a review of everything that's here. Yeah, so there was Balsam Gardens, which is 33 acres that aligned with Greenway plans. That is still in negotiation as far as what we can do with it. Riverlink had a Gateway Park. We're gonna recommend that go forward. That would have been on the French Broad. And then the Hawk Creek Community Association had a small greenway connecting in their community. We're gonna go forward with that. Asheville Greenway or Asheville Greenworks wanted to make trail improvements at Hominy Creek. We're going to go ahead and fund that or recommend that it's funded. Warren Wilson, they changed around what they were doing, but we liked what we saw. So it's going to improve the public access trails on their property. Town of Woodfin had a Riverside Park. We're going to recommend that we fund that. And then Camp Greer shrank their ask, and we're going to recommend that goes forward too. We had 4 projects. Beaverview Mountain, we got state funding for that, so we won't need to contribute any further to that. Town of Black Mountain wanted to do a Ridgecrest connector greenway, but they had a lot of expenses that were excluded in the bond language, so we couldn't honor that. Town of Weaverville, they have pulled their ask because they're going to focus on storm cleanup. And then the Woodman Trailhead in Swannanoa, that also, I don't know the reasoning, but my thought would be Helene damage. So it brought our total ask to 4 million, and that leaves about 5 million left over. So potentially we could have another round of open passive rec land application. And that's in a nutshell everything we have. Any questions on that?
Good
No, that
job.
Thanks,
was
Kevin.
helpful. Thank you.
All right.
Any other questions on the report out? If I were to say the 3 high-level things hopefully you got from it, I think it would be we're in the midst of our fiscal year 27 budget, so we're working on that. Things are happening there. Joseph is busy with a lot with the parks, with planning design, RFQs. And then 3, we've got our Festival of Lights coming up. It is the 25th anniversary. So spread the word for that. 20% of proceeds go to Special Olympics Buncombe County. So we're really excited, and our team is working really hard down at Lake Julian to make it a great display this year. All right, and it looks like I skipped approving the September meeting minutes. Do we have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to approve our last meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Anybody against? We good? All right, we'll go ahead and approve those. Okay, so the next one is the review of the Board of Commissioners annual report. So, unfortunately, that we received an email from the clerk's office to the clerk of the board's office just after our September meeting, notifying us about the annual report that was due October 17th. We had one meeting in person, and we had, I believe, Kevin and Jennifer came to one, Kevin came to one, Leslie was there. And so we haven't had everybody's eyes on it. And so we sent it to the Board of Commissioners, but we do want an official approval. So I sent it as a draft. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up and we can go through it and go from there. All right. So this is from our original meeting. We did this on we had a special meeting called on 10/9. We've got our current membership listed. And then for the summary statement and purpose, we looked at the resolution that originally created the advisory board and kind of summarized that. So I'll let you all review that. If you have any feedback or would like to change anything, please speak up. All right. For accomplishments and activities, we acknowledge that meetings were stopped due to Helene, and then that we've reconvened, that the Passive Recreation Land Subcommittee has reconvened and are now giving their recommendations. And that, as of that September meeting, we are working to become a more active board. Did anybody want to add anything to the accomplishments or activities?
I'm new, so when I think about, I've come to two meetings, but when I think about all what you talk about and share, is the report not just structured to give some examples of some of the details you talk about? Is it? I mean, and that may be the way it is.
So it's the direction at the top is highlight major accomplishments and activities, and I think it's focused more on the board and less on the department. So it's
Okay.
more on like if you all have made votes or that type of thing. Votes or updated bylaws or things like that. So it's more focused on the board's action versus the department's action.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course. For upcoming goals, I kind of suggested these, which were the appoint new chairperson, vice chairperson. Hopefully should be low hanging fruit and easy to check those off. And then also, Allison has asked us to review the bylaws and update those as appropriate. Does anybody have any comments on either of those? All right. This next goal, and so what happened is Allison, just so you all know, Allison suggested some goals, and then I believe it was Kevin and Leslie who kind of melded them more into what they thought was best for the board. So one of the bullet points was advise on strategic capital investments. These would be reviewed and review and recommend annual capital priorities in each fiscal year in July. And then for Greenways specifically, identification of bottlenecks and recommend potential solutions to county commissioners.
I want to ask a question. I know working in government, I know we make our priorities each fiscal year in July, but normally you make those like March and April. Is that how the county system works?
So what happens is we actually do our capital, like Joseph is actually submitting, I believe, our final CIP information this Friday. So we make our official recommendations in October. And so, because it's in October for the next fiscal year, right? So
Okay.
July is when the fiscal year starts. So
Mhm.
we're saying in July so that we get your input because we have to provide it in October.
And is that funding, um, uh, in my world in government, so that funding may already be, so you have a pot of money, you know, that's still available to you come July and October? Because most county and city budgets are finalizing their budgets, you know, before July 1st. That's why I was just kind of confused.
Yeah, so it's July for the following year. So right now, like we're looking at July 2026.
I got you.
So
Okay,
so
thank you.
July
Okay.
in July 26, we'd be looking at July 27,
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
right?
Yeah, and I was going to add to that too as well. Speaking of pots of money, where it might be coming from, we are submitting CIP projects that also are dealing heavily with FEMA and Helene recovery. Um, for example, Charles D. Owen Park is a $11 million project we're submitting. We are not submitting that CIP stating that we're getting 100% of those funds from county tax dollars.
Mhm.
We're hoping to actually obtain most of those funds from other sources that can help us through grants, FEMA, federal assistance through the agricultural department, DOT, lots of different pots. So we're kind of in an interesting spot right now that we're submitting CIPs that might not even need any county dollars.
Mhm.
But we still have to submit them saying that we're going to be doing the work in FY 27, which is actually year 2026. So.
Okay.
And as we do our priorities for this year, we look at also for several years out. And so depending on what happens this year in July of 26, we may adjust our priorities for July of 27 or things like a hurricane could, hopefully don't happen. But,
Mhm.
what was originally planned in September 2024 is much different than what has happened and or what the priorities became in September 2025. So, so once we have that information, we can also share more about that with you and approvals once we get to that, approval from the board.
So Liz, I'm hoping that if we do have a retreat, that we can take those upcoming goals and make that a major part of
Hmm.
what we discuss and how we go forward. Because I think that they're good goals, but I think they need to be fleshed out. And I think that's what a retreat would
Mhm.
be effective at doing.
Got it. I think that's yeah, and that is one thing that Allison brought up is that we have these goals, but really we also need there needs to be an implementation plan. How is the board going to do this? Some of this is for the department to do, and some of this is for the advisory board to do, right? So we can spend time during these meetings fleshing out, but it seems like a special meeting for a retreat may be the better way to go about it.
Yeah.
Any recommendations on the advise on strategic capital investments goal?
I think what would be nice is to have kind of like a comprehensive plan, and trying to think of like the most concise way to say this. If we had like kind of 10 years looking out of like capital improvements we knew we needed to make at the current budget level, and then because part of what I think this board needs to do, and we kind of have it in like community development and engagement. Like I view that as that's our responsibility to do some community outreach,
Mhm.
get more awareness and support in the community for parks and recreation, and use that support to then advocate for budget, for bigger projects, for more greenways, etc. So I think a big piece of that would be helpful to have is say like, hey, this is what we think we can do over the next 10 years with our current budget level. These are the projects we think we can take on. And I know that Helene put a big kind of kink in that plan because a lot of what we're doing is just recovering. So I would say some sort of document that has like, this is everything that needs to be done post Helene. These are the things that we think will be covered with non-county dollars. Here are things that would be in the normal course of business. I know a lot of our parks are getting old and just, and honestly, being used more. So we need more infrastructure there. And then there's a big push in the community for more greenway connectiveness. So seeing like, what is Helene recovery? What could potentially be covered with outside dollars? What is the normal course of business? And then if we had a 10% larger budget, what could we strive for? So we could kind of go to the county commissioners and say, here's our current course of action. If we get an increased budget, this is what the county could look like. And then as far as community outreach for us, it's like, I still have questions on kind of a budget for that. I don't know if we're allowed to spend Parks and Rec's dollars to basically get petitions going.
Real quick, so before we go to that, do you want me to add into this goal then a develop plan,
I think for this
developed like
document,
long-term plan, or do we need to add another goal that is create like through board retreat, develop implementation plan for goals?
I
Is
think this
that the
document,
fourth goal that needs to be made or just needs to
no,
happen?
I think this document is sufficient. I'm happy where we got with it over our past two meetings. I was just elaborating for this group of like actions that the advisory board itself needs to be taking.
Just to add on there, I feel like that falls under the goal there of support implementation of the Parks and Rec master plan, because that should have a lot of that data that you're talking about getting from the community. Kevin, like they should have when that's complete, the prioritization of a lot of these capital improvements. Usually it includes something like that. And then since they are factoring in Helene, that should also be updated to reflect if anyone's priorities changed post storm. So when that document is complete, we should be able to use that to help with this goal.
Excellent.
Do we know when that's expected to be done?
It is currently scheduled for February.
Okay.
All right, the next goal is develop community engagement action plan for advisory board. And I was talking with Allison about these and reviewing them, and I think one thing she wanted me to make sure that we are all aware of is that this is really the engagement action plan for the advisory board, right? We have our community engagement team for the county, and as you all will be, provide feedback and advise to the department and advise to the county. But I think this goal is really about how you all engage with the community. And so kind of the two bullets below this were to review and provide input on marketing and branding materials biannually in May and November. So in this case, we would, if we, continue with this, we would do a January update for that. Since we're doing this in November. We would, Molly, who is our communications and public engagement specialist, will provide information. You can provide feedback and ideas. And then the second part was participating at least one outreach or public engagement event or program per district per year. So it was, we talked about, is it one event per person? And I think where it landed was one event, the whole department, one district, one event per district.
And that we would all participate in that?
Yes, I mean, yes, it would be, I mean, I don't know if the whole board needs to be there. I would say we want at least one, you know,
Yeah.
it's basically the board needs to do one engagement event or program per district per year. And that might be during a Parks and Recreation event, you all have a table that says we're the Recreation Advisory Board and you solicit information. It could be you have a special event. But again, that'd be kind of for you to discuss as a group and decide how you want to do that. And then during that outreach and engagement to solicit feedback on the capital investments and the master plan, implementation and progress.
What about outreach to like special interest groups that would like to provide their feedback? For instance, the Connect Buncombe or the bicycle community, going to them and asking for their feedback. Would that be something that you would see as part of this?
I think that's up to you all. I think this goal refers to specifically a more like public forum. But I could see that reaching out to those special interest groups could be something that this committee does, this board does.
I think that would be really important to reach out to those groups.
Do you want to put that in here that says connect with special interest groups for their feedback, something to that effect?
I can see that under the participate in one outreach or public engagement event, to include contact with special interest groups, maybe.
Mhm.
Okay, you want,
I'm not sure the wording, Liz. You might have to do that.
okay. Do we want to add it on the end like this, or do you want a separate bullet point?
Oh, I think it could be included in the
Yeah.
participate in the outreach. I think it's kind of a subcategory of that.
Mhm.
Okay, great. All right, any other?
That way we can bring that information back to the board and to the county.
I think that's great.
For the
Anything?
purpose of the document, I think it looks good, but just out of curiosity, as far as logistics, when we go to, I'm sorry, my camera turned off. When we go to organize these things, are we allowed to have conversations about this outside of a formal meeting, as far as how we want, getting a table and or choosing an event to do, or does that have to be an organized formal public meeting?
If there's more than currently, if there's 4 or more of you, if there's more than a quorum present, it becomes a meeting. And so per public, per open meeting law, you have to provide notice to the public about that. And so, that could be something that's discussed at a retreat, or we call, you call a special meeting to discuss that.
Okay.
Or you have smaller groups who, hey, we're going to focus on District 1, you're going to focus on District 2, you're going to focus on District 3, and you may stay below that quorum level, is how I believe it would work.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else for that goal? All right. The next goal is support implementation of the system-wide parks and master plan. And Allison's original recommendation was to have this be more specific and measurable, and I think it was to the effect of support at least one initiative, the implementation of at least one initiative from the system-wide Parks and Recreation Master Plan. However, I think Kevin and Leslie, when they originally met, wanted to leave it a little more vague, as we don't actually have the master plan yet. And so that would be, maybe another part of, once the master plan comes, you kind of figure out how you're going to support that implementation.
Yeah, I think that's good.
And then I believe Kevin had said, the feedback we gave is that the board would like more interaction with county commissioners, whether in a formal or informal setting.
Do you need to put in there how we would do that? How we go about requesting it or inviting them to come to me? What is the way that would be done?
So ultimately, again, I think that's up to you to an extent. It could be going to the county commissioners meetings. It could be going to town halls where we know county commissioners are going to be present. And it could also be potentially inviting a county commissioner to a meeting or a small group, that type of thing. So I think it's an awareness for the county commissioners, but I think it's an also awareness for you as a board to be more active and
Mhm.
seeking out those those commissioners. I believe there's a town on December 3rd. There is I can't remember if it's a town hall, but it's at Owen. It's the Swannanoa Small Engagement Plan. So like that would be a time where if you attended that event, you could likely talk to some commissioners and say, hey, I'm part of the advisory board, Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Introduce yourself, start building those relationships.
I'd like to know more about that.
I would too. I think it would be good, and I apologize if you may say, well, all that information is on the web. I just need to know where to go. I would like to be prompted, if possible, not to create more work for anyone, but I would really like to know those.
Great. Yeah, I'll do some research on how, those go out. We, as a county employee, I get very informed about these things, but obviously we want to, make sure that it's getting out to you all and the general county residents as well. So I will look into that and see how we can, if there's an email list or that type of thing to make sure you're getting that information.
Yeah, and it may not be appropriate, Liz, but I'm fine if you just, if somebody decides you can just forward them this, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be all formal, just knowing and being aware of it. I think this is a critical piece of how to move this forward, especially in the greater master plan whenever we get to that.
I do too. I agree. I think you need to think about us as your cheerleaders.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Awesome.
Are they commissioners at the community engagement markets ever? Or what are the community engagement markets that are online or that are on our county website?
I have not been to a community engagement market. I do not know if the commissioners go to those. I would have to look more into it. I know there's the community engagement markets, I believe, are more like resource access to resources. So whether that's like typically they will have, I believe, like a food donation. They can connect you with the health department, vaccines, testing, that type of thing is, I believe, more of the focus. Or you can ask that staff questions and they can come back to you. I do not know if I do not think they're there, but I can check into it.
Okay, there's a lot.
The commissioners don't attend, no.
Yeah.
Thanks, Molly.
I'm sorry, what did she say?
Molly said that commissioners do not attend the community engagement markets, but we can get you a list of those out into the future. All right. Any other feedback before moving forward? All right. Is there so now we would vote. Is there a motion? And yeah, I just want to facilitate that vote. And that's kind of up to you all. So that's more that's on you and not me. So if one of y'all want to do if one of you would do a motion to approve and then a second, and then you can vote.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor of approving?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Looks like that was a 5 yes, 5 yay. All right. Fantastic. So we accomplished that. That's great. We actually, that is fantastic. All right. So the next piece of our agenda is to appoint a chair and a vice chair. I
Liz,
know we had
I
mentioned,
was thinking that if you've got two new people coming in January, and we're just on Zoom right now, it seems to me like it would be more appropriate to wait until you get those two new people.
I don't know if those two folks are gonna be comfortable in like that's a lot to put on for a first meeting, I think. So I think this would be equally a good opportunity to appoint a chair and vice chair. I would say the biggest thing is finding, is there appetite in the group? Does anybody want those positions? Because I would say a like a volunteering to be that position would be better than maybe looking for an endorsement.
and speaking from the outside, I would encourage potential nomination or a recommendation, not just not necessarily someone saying I would like to, but if you think someone would be a good chair or vice chair.
Nominate Kevin as our chair.
A second.
All
Would
right.
you like to vote on that? Or
Yes.
Kevin, do you accept?
I'll accept the nomination. Yeah.
All right, if you would like to vote. Anybody against?
Sure.
Kevin, you've been named the vice chair. You'll see.
Congratulations.
I thought he was a chair.
Sorry, chair. Sorry, my apologies. Chair, you were the chair. It is a 1-year term, and we'll go with the calendar year, right? So you'll go January to December. In November of 2026, we'll vote for the next chair.
Okay.
Does that sound
Yeah,
good to
that works for me.
everybody?
Mhm.
All right. The vice chair. Would anybody like to nominate anybody?
I would nominate Ann Babcock if she is up for it.
Oh, thank you, Kevin.
Second.
All in favor?
You-
So, accept.
Oh, yeah.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, fantastic. We now have a vice chair.
Thank you.
Congratulations to both of you. Allison and I will probably follow up before the next meeting, but then you all would run those meetings and facilitate the meetings moving forward. The next piece on the agenda is any board updates or anything else you'd like to discuss.
I don't know if this is appropriate. I'm president of the Asheville Pickleball Association. We have a lot of, I guess I would say, potential investors with some great ideas in regard to development within the county. This is way beyond the city limits of, and I'm not sure who to guide them to talk to in regard within within the department or the county.
It would likely be with depending on what the development is, it would be with planning and then parks, I believe. I'll let Joseph speak up if otherwise, but I can also follow up and get you some different information if I'm able to get that out. But Joseph, do you have anything to share?
I mean, a lot of times it falls under the economic development. I'm sure I could go on your website. I didn't know if there was a particular person.
Exactly. We do have that person as well. Joseph, any recommendations on your end there?
Yeah, sorry, my thing was freezing there for a second. There is the phase 3 of the Inca Recreation Destination project that we will be seeking TDA funds for within probably the next 2 years. That phase 2 at the Buncombe County Sports Park currently outlines 16 pickleball courts that are covered and are tournament standard. Me and Bobby were actually just talking about it a second ago. It's hard to say where that might go, but just know that it is something that we are looking at, and TDA is also looking at as a possible way to get tourism in, tournaments in. I mean, like we all saw the PGA tournament coming to the Biltmore yesterday, which is great news.
Yeah.
And this could be a possibility to bring similar pickleball tournaments to Buncombe County as well.
That's exciting news, Joseph.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very exciting news.
Really?
There are people that would want to know that, Joseph, who would really want to come out and support you and leverage that support for you and that committee. And I know pickleball is just one of many things, but so in phase 2, is that like 26 to 20? What years are those?
So sorry, I meant to say that's actually phase 3. We're in phase 2 right now.
Okay.
So once we finish phase 2 is when we'd go to that phase 3. Phase 1 was completed with the turf fields and the bathroom facility upgrade. Phase 2 actually starting next Monday. That's the turfing of the other fields down next to the playground, and then also renovating that whole playground there to be ADA accessible, and also have newer components to it. And then also renovating that bathroom ranger facility, concession stand to be a better fit. That will be happening in October 2026. So then looking at 2027 would be when we'd go and seek funding for phase 3, which is extended parking down there at that lower area of 6 and 7, and then also doing basketball and pickleball courts. Mostly pickleball, but then there would be 2 basketball courts on the end that would be covered as well.
Okay. That's great. Yeah.
But Christina, I see that as a great opportunity for special interest input.
Absolutely. Yes.
Great.
The pickleball community will run. We were able, as you probably well know, we had such great turnout and gets positive pressure from the community. We're part of the bond that the city is developing, I think 8 to 10 courts over the next year. So, yes, the community will definitely come out and participate, and we can leverage that through the association to help with that. And of course, always partner with anyone else. But yes, this is great, great news. So, but I guess beyond that, Joseph, there are people who are looking at other places in the county with sort of, to be honest with you, a big vision of another destination. This is, and in all respect, one of the first questions I said yesterday, well, have you spoken to the Buncombe County Parks and Recreation Department about this? And I'm sad to say that wasn't on their top list of people to talk to, but they should, right?
Yeah, and I was gonna say to that point, starting early next year, we just got under contract for the redesign of Charles D. Owen Park.
Uh-huh.
And a big part of that first step is community outreach.
Okay.
So they will be hosting events with Cape's help to kind of like the master plan, where you can come out and the pickleball group can come out and say, hey, those softball fields weren't used really as much as we think a pickleball court might be in that location. And also making the pitch that pickleball courts would be used in that community. So showing that as well, because Swannanoa is so far out from the city courts,
Right.
not a lot of access to tennis or pickleball courts.
Where
So-
are the city courts going to be, Christina?
We are waiting to hear. They have selected a vendor. They're doing the last pieces of the contracting. I spoke to some people last week, and there were 4 sites that were designated that we went out and looked at. And their first choice is to take one of the current city parks they have and land they already own, which we totally understand. And so, but the vendor they're gone with, the design company, they're out of Raleigh. They will make the final decision. They'll look at the 4 sites or any other sites they want to look at, and then there will be a community meeting. Definitely, because pickleball does have a noise to it. I'm just very honest about that, and we've seen some problems with what Weaverville's going through in regard to the pickleball courts being close to communities. So the vendor at the end of the day will make 1 or 2 selections, get community input, and then they'll go from there. So we don't know the exact location as of yet, but we've moved forward that we have a design company.
Fantastic. And Christina, I might email you somebody as well. I'll follow up with
That'd be
you on
great.
that.
Thank you very much. I mean, they're just, and I don't assume, I assume that this goes on in many other sports. our little website and our little email is full of people. I mean, and these are very serious people. These just aren't people, saying what if,
Mhm.
there's some gentlemen that have a great interest of investment.
Great. Anybody have anything else from the board? All right, and we have a public comment. Bobby, do you have anything?
No, I'm good, Liz. Thank you all, and it's always informative to attend this meeting for me. So thank you.
All right, our next meeting is January 13th. It will be at our office in person at 46 Valley Street. And we will go ahead and adjourn the meeting.
Great meeting.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Everyone
Have a
have
great
a happy
day.
holiday.
Everybody.
Yeah, you too.
Likewise. Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Thank you.